Thanks for listening to Rental Kharma On Air, where good renters deserve good credit. Check us out at rentalkharma.com, and that's spelled KHARMA.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rental Kharma On Air with your hosts, myself, Cullen, Canazares, and Wendy Massengill. Hi, Wendy.
Hello.
How are things out in Tennessee today?
Sunny and hot, just like I like it.
All right, perfect. That means your tomatoes are having a beautiful day, and garden is in glorious form. So, everybody, welcome back. We're really excited to get going with season 2 here. Today, what we're going to talk about is probably going to be 2 or 3 parts to this one. We're also going to break it down into segments, but it's all about the red flags of credit. You and I and Wendy, what year did you get driver's education?
2003.
And how old were you then?
16.
So for all you guys that want to do the math on how old Wendy is, she's still a young pup. So the point is, we're taught how to drive a car when we're 16 years old, right? Thank goodness most parents don't give us Corvettes or anything when we're 16, so we really don't go out and kill ourselves or do anything crazy. But what we did learn in driver's ed was not to speed, you don't run red lights, you don't go blowing through stoplights, you don't get in wrecks and things. Use safe driving habits, right? Well, what they forgot to give us in high school class was credit education. Didn't happen in college. If you went there, you had to just learn this system on your own. And we come from a place where we're all used to 100%. 100 is our scale. Did they ever say there's a 120% chance of thunderstorms today?
Thank God not.
No, I don't know what that would look like, right? That'd be a crazy day. But it's up to 100%, right? And you can get 100 on a test score. You can go and get, hundreds of perfect score in so many different things, right? Our money is based off of 100 pennies, right? Is $1. Why is it we have a credit score that's 350 to 850, and it's so confusing? It's like, is 850 100? Actually, no, it's not. 720, I tell people every day, is an A+. Why is it that 720 is an A+, not this 850? Doesn't make sense to me. 100 was, the A+ in school. Well, I don't have an answer for either. But what I can tell you is 720 is the score you need to get the best interest rate on a home loan or a car loan. So if you go and look at the rate charts the credit union has for car loans or homes, 720 and above is the best rate they have. So the rest of it is really just extra credit and bonus points that makes you feel good, et cetera, but it really isn't going to change your life. Maybe some company will give you a better looking, fancier credit card or something, but it's still a credit card and ain't really going to, that doesn't really help you that much. Usually you can tell you to go backwards. So what we're going to talk about today are the red flags of credit so that you can learn the rules of the road just like you did in driver's ed. Get perfect driving record. You can maintain a 720 credit score all day long. I tell Rental Kharma members daily when we do one-on-one mentoring sessions, I say, getting a 720 credit score, Wendy, is super easy. But keeping it is 10 times harder. Why is that? Is it lack of knowledge?
Well, no, it's I think, my humble opinion, I think it's the amount of temptation that comes after it.
Yeah.
Because your mailbox will fill up as soon as your credit score is good. They're like, hey, you want this credit card?
Yeah, I remember back in the day, I used to keep a bin in my office of all the offers that I got. And it was literally, in the course of a year, it was like 750. And it was overwhelming, really. Well, the first red flag, so if you haven't visited it yet, go to the Rental Kharma Learning Center, rentalkharma.com/learn, and you're going to be impressed with how quickly you can get 720 credit ready by knowing the rules of the credit roadmap. Okay. It is not written in fancy lingo. It doesn't have words you have to Google to figure out what it means. It's just plain spoken, just like Cullen. I'm the one that wrote it. And I want people to have a very simple understanding so that they just don't make those mistakes. Today, the first one I want to talk about is the first red flag in the Learning Center, and that's talking about the dispute button. Okay. And collections. This one's confusing because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. All right. You see, if you actually get a collection on your credit report, your score goes down. Okay. But whether the collection is $50, 500, 5,000, 10,000 bucks. The penalty is exactly the same. And it's roughly 20, 22 points. Okay. That's not a whole lot when we talk about some of the other red flags later on that have bigger penalties. But this penalty lasts for a total of 2 years. And after 1 year, the penalty is cut in half. So it's roughly 10 points after a year. And after 2 years, it's gone. The mistake people make is, if there's something on your credit report, should you dispute it? Yes. If it is truly inaccurate and you know that somebody messed up or they forgot to do the auto pay the correct way and it's their fault as a company for not treating things the way they should by doing the right thing, yes, you should. But you only dispute something that's a collection right when it first shows up in the first 6 months or so. Why is that, Cullen? Well, when they after they go past 2 years, they're no longer impacting a credit score at all. And these collection companies, you've heard me talk about this, Wendy. Who owns these collection companies?
Not the place that you had the original debt.
No, but I think it's guys like Lucifer, Vinny the Monster, Jake the snake oil salesman. These people buy these collection accounts. Let's say you had a cell phone bill that went bad and it was 500 bucks. They will go and buy that account from AT&T or whoever, whatever phone company it is, and they will pay them 3 pennies on the dollar for that collection. 3 pennies on the dollar for that collection. You do the math. A $500 account, I think that's $15. Okay. So if they even collect 30 out of you, they just doubled their money, right? By simply adding this to your credit report and getting you to get scared. Okay. And the bigger the amount, the more scared you get, right? You're like, oh, it's $2,800 for some, whatever the heck it was, right? But it's still the same 20-point penalty that goes away after 2 years. And after that 2 years, you never want to hit that dispute button. Wendy, do you know what my reasoning is here?
Unfortunately, yes, because I've heard about it before. You make
Yes.
something old, brand new, all over again.
That's exactly right. So quote that, all brand new, all over again. What does that mean? How does that work? These companies on this Vinny and Lucifer or whatever, right? They will go in and realize, oh, they're disputing something. They must be about going to buy a house or a car. Let's get back in front of them and see if they want to send us some of that money, right? Maybe if they only send us $100, we're going to make 800% our $15 investment. So what they will do, along with calling you again and sending you a couple of letters, but those letters are expensive, the post office. But the thing that's really cheap is just for changing the date on what the collection is on your credit report. That makes
The last activity date.
That got your attention more than my phone call or my letter, right? Because you're in the process of trying to get to a goal of buying a home or whatever. And all of a sudden you just got some brand new 20-point penalty and you don't know what the heck happened. You're like, everything on my credit report is the same. And people don't look at the minute details of dates. You know, it's incredibly important, but they don't realize what's going on. And it's not like a new collection got added to your credit report. They just wouldn't change the date and you just got slapped with a brand new penalty.
All over again.
That's why you don't do this. I say, would you ever go into the woods and poke a sleeping bear?
No.
I've seen them up in the Smoky Mountains, and I poking ones alive or sleeping. Ain't gonna happen.
Can I pet that dog?
Nothing good is gonna come of it, and that's what it's like. It was poking a sleeping bear. Is this collection that's older than 2 years? And I don't care if it's $50, 500, 5,000. The same response will just be refreshed all over again. And you're going to feel like you're on the treadmill to nowhere. So I hope we all learn that red flag, folks. Leave that dispute button alone unless it's at the very beginning and you know it's not yours. It's just not worth it. If you would love to, this is Rental Kharma Learning Center. The first red flag there will have this topic in detail. It's written out. You can listen to it in audio. You can listen to this video. And just like anything, study it a couple of times and you will never make that mistake again. That's what gets you, once you're at 720, to keep you from ever going backwards. So earlier I was talking about 720 is A+, right? That's what we all want to aim for. Let's put this into this context that we all understand, which is A, B, C, D, F. just like in school, right? It was all on that little scale. So, Cullen, what's a B or a B plus? 680. That's simple. Okay. Think of 620 as a C minus. All right. 620 is the minimum score to go in and start the mortgage process, except for a few exceptions if you're a veteran and a few other areas. But just think 620 is the minimum. You should never, ever shoot for the minimum. Okay. Shoot for 720 because honestly, it's easy to get to. Even if you're coming out of some negatives that happened in the past, just making those right steps can get you there pretty darn quick. Things like rent on your credit report, things like not having a late payment, go max out your credit. There's a number of different things. We're going to talk about all this stuff, okay? But think about it from that scale. So what's a D, Cullen? 18 down to 600. Can you still get something for with a 600 credit score? Yeah, there are sleazy car dealers that will get you a car loan at that, but it is going to kill you financially. And you're going to make sure you go watch the episode of our podcast from last year, How to Buy a Car with No Down Payment. Okay. Very, very important. Well, anything under 600 and the 500s, guys, it's a flat up F. Okay. And just further down the scale, if you get down, I rarely see anything under a 520. It's really rare. But anything of those 500s is an F. You shouldn't even think about applying for anything when you have an F for a credit score. You got to at least get it to a B. And it's not hard. So just think of it on that scale. Anything over 720, pat you on the back. Good job, kiddo. Ain't going to do anything more. I tell people it's just like likes on Facebook. Makes you feel a little better, but you really don't get anything out of it. Okay? So remember, 720 is the A plus. Never get below B. Okay? You don't have to. Visit the Learning Center. You'll be there. All right, everybody. Now we're going to talk about the next red flag. The dreaded late payment. This one I'm amazed at how often people don't understand this one. And the penalty and how long it impacts them, etc. It is the most painful to me. Late payments are more painful than a bankruptcy. And I can explain that one in another chapter, but I really believe that. Okay. And a late payment is the same penalty, whether it's a $25 payment on your cell phone bill, a credit card statement, or $500 in the car note, or $2,000 in rent. 30-day late, 30-day late. It has nothing to do with the amount of the payment. Okay. Now, how much of a penalty is a 30-day late? It can vary a little bit based off of how old somebody's credit is versus how young, but on average, it's 85 points. Bam. You take a 700 credit score and you drop 85 points off of that. They just went from an A minus to 615, which is a D, not even eligible to go for the mortgage process. I see so many people make this mistake inadvertently, by mistake. They thought they had auto pay set up, and then it didn't go through, and then they don't have a bunch of notifications set up to text them or email them to let them know that that didn't go through. And then they don't realize until a month later when the card company starts calling and says, yeah, we haven't seen payment for 30 days. And oh, by the way, you just got a 30-day late. Simple mistake. And the thing about it is, and where I see this mistake happen a lot, Wendy, when I do one-on-one mentoring sessions with members, is they get way too many open accounts. And it becomes a full-time job just to manage, is the bill getting paid? I had a guy the other day that had 21 open accounts, 19 of them were credit cards. $1,000 available credit. I'm like, what are you going to do? Go buy an airplane with a credit card?
That's
I'm like,
too much trouble.
You're setting up yourself for failure just because of this, you know? And he's like, well, I just got denied for a car loan. I'm like, I'm not surprised. I mean, you look like a guy that as soon as you got the car, you might be driving to Vegas and go gambling, and you could lose $100,000 in a weekend. That's a risk to the lender. You know, you just don't need that much. I tell people a good number to have is 4 or 5 open accounts. So yes, do people miss payments because they're struggling financially? Like their car payment. That's the one I see the most often. And it doesn't matter that it's the car payment, like I said, or the cell phone bill. The penalty is the same as that 85 points. And most people get overextended in the cars, as you know, Wendy, from your days in the dealers, because somebody hands them a 25% interest car loan with a $3,000 down payment, which puts these people into automobile loan hell. I can say that on here. This is governed by the FTC or whoever that is. It puts them into hell. You know, the $25,000 car with that interest rate, 25% is going to cost $50,000 at the end of that loan. It's just awful, right? So the late payment is the big one. And I've told people this a lot in one-on-ones lately because I moved not long ago, a little over a year ago. You know, I was tired of moving, and I'm like, I got all these extra bins of stuff that you carry around, your kids' stuff from when they were 10 years old. I had 2 boxes of Legos in there. My 17-year-old doesn't have anything to do with his Legos anymore, but I've been still carrying them around in case I need them. I ended up finding stuff to sell on Facebook Marketplace. I made $3,000 in a week. I put up the Legos, Wendy. 2 bins of Legos. How long do you think it took for somebody to show up with the money to buy it?
You probably hit enter and someone was running up the driveway holding cash.
She was at my front door within an hour. And how much cash do you think she gave me for 2 plastic bins of Legos?
I'd say a couple $100.
$500. I'm sitting there kicking myself going, man, I should have raised the price on that. Thinking I should have listed it for $1,000 and so forth. The point is very simple. You've got money in your garage, in your storage closet, or whatever. Don't ever let that late payment hit you because the penalty is so severe of 85 points. It only goes away after 2 years. The penalty's gone. After a year, it's cut in half. But that's all. If you're in the middle of trying to reach a goal, getting a car loan or a home loan, like I just gave you an example. You're to 700, the late payment hits, and you just dropped to 615. You just got stuck with a really bad car loan if that's what you're trying to get. Right? And how much more money are they going to ask for a down payment? So if you find yourself in that situation and you're needing to go buy a car, make sure you go listen to season 1, episode 1, how to buy a car with no down payment. I'll give you a quick highlight. You go to the credit union, you get pre-approved for a loan, they give you a piece of paper. It's just like walking in with cash. There's no down payment. You go to the dealer. When the dealer says, I'll get you a better deal, the last thing you ever do is give them their social security number. Do you give your social security number to the checker at the grocery store? Wendy, you don't?
Because it's not a bank.
you give your social security number to the checker at Walmart?
No, not last time I checked.
Not really. Why are you going to give it to the guy that's selling you a car? You don't need to because you're not getting a loan through them. You should never do that because they're just going to broker you out the backside, pay an extra commission there to put you in a bad loan. Credit union won't do that.
And kill your credit from all the hard inquiries that just hit.
And kill your credit with 20 hard inquiries. I just saw one yesterday, 17 new ones from one car dealer. It's sad. So avoid the late payment at all costs. It's worse than bankruptcy. Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about another red flag. This is a big one. I see this one multiple times a week. I've experienced it myself by accident not long ago, about a year and a half ago. But we're going to talk about the maxed out credit card penalty. Okay. What's that, Cullen? I haven't read about that on the internet. I don't know. I've never heard of this thing. I've never seen it. I just know that my score has been stuck at 610 for a long time, and I can't get away from it. Okay. Well, here we're going to explain it, and it's super simple. It's super easy to avoid. And once you know this one, you can stay at 720. You're not going to go backwards. Okay. Super easy. The maxed out credit card penalty, you've heard it on the internet. Keep your credit card usage under 30%. I say to my members, when I do these one-on-ones, I say, that is the worst advice in credit I've ever heard. It is stupid, and whoever says it owns a bank, and they just want to make more money on your interest. That's it. Why? Because 0 is the best number. Well, I thought you had to use credit cards to build your credit, Cullen. Definitely don't need 19 of them like that guy I talked to the other day. You need 1. Maybe 2. One's your emergency one, and one's the one you use for building up cash back rewards or something from your groceries or whatever. But the most important thing is you pay the bill in full every month. We have an article in the Learning Center that talks about how to use a credit card. It's super easy. Okay. You get your credit card and you put one thing on it: Netflix, cell phone bill, Hulu, I don't care. One thing, you put it on auto pay and pay it in full every month. That helps you with the 30% of the credit score. That is how do you use credit cards. Going back into this maxed out penalty, people make this mistake. They get so often, I see when their very first credit card, he's got a $300 credit limit. And they might even be an authorized user on Subbase card, and it has $1,000, and they go, oh, my usage is under 20%. And I'll have them click in the Credit Karma app, and I'll say, scroll down to the credit factors underneath payment history. You go down, you click on credit card use, and at the very top of the list, it says your total amount used out of your total available. And then the first card at the top of the list is the one that has the highest usage. And lo and behold, this little tiny $300 credit card, which might even be a secured credit card, by the way, which doesn't matter, has a $295 balance with a $300 limit. Says it's 98% used. It's not maxed out. It's not over the it's not over the limit where they freeze it and don't let you charge on it anymore. But the problem is now that card's technically maxed out. And how much can that drop your score? 85 points overnight for a $300 credit card, okay? Which is insane. The math just doesn't make a lot of sense, but once you understand it, you're okay. Well, how do you make that go away? One, you should just pay it to zero. And like I said, put Hulu, auto pay, and move on, okay? But if it is a little bit tight and you can only pay $100, pay $100 and get that thing out of the maxed out status, which is roughly 80% or above. Stick the credit card in your sock drawer because you don't need to buy groceries. You're probably buying groceries just fine before you ever got the first credit card in the first place. You don't need it to buy groceries. You don't need it to go to the mall or anything else. It's just a tool to make sure you can maintain a 720 credit score so you can get the best deal on your home purchase, interest rate wise, and your car loans. Those are big things, guys. That's it. So what if it's a $10,000 card and I got $9,500 on it? Well, congratulations, 95% is maxed out and it's still an 85-point penalty. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's $10,000 versus $295. The penalty is the same. And every once in a while, I'll see folks, Wendy, they won't have one maxed. They'll have two or three. And it's not people with $20,000 in credit card debt. I'm talking the total of the three cards is like $1,000. And I'm like, you can find $1,000 in your garage selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace, for crying out loud. Once I understand it, they're like, I'm paying it tonight. Great, great. And they make amazing strides. And unlike that late payment penalty, which lasts for how long, Wendy?
Oh gosh, 2 years.
2 years. I always remember. Look like Richard Dixon.
Visible for 7. Visible for 7.
Yeah, it's visible, but it doesn't affect your score is the main thing. And that's what everybody's worried about because even the lenders, they don't look back and they don't discriminate because 4 years ago you missed a car payment.
They know mistakes happen.
Yeah, because most of the days is a computer's deciding this. You know, when you get a mortgage, it is not a human that says you get your mortgage. It is actually a computer system written by the federal government called, you ever heard of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac? That's what it is. But it's but this maxed out penalty, the beauty of it is that you can make it go away quick just by managing it correctly, paying that down, and don't use the card if you don't really, it's nice to have it there for an emergency. Car battery goes out and you don't have an extra $300 laying around. That's a good thing to use something like that for, to get you through the curveball. Yeah. So read your red flags in the learning center. You're a third of the way there today. Get yourself 720 credit ready and you can stay there just by learning the rules of the credit road. What is the next one? Credit builder loans. Okay. Is this a new thing? No, we've been doing rent reporting for like 12 years now. And in the last 10 years, there's been a lot of other credit builder services that have come along. One of them is a credit builder loan. You've probably seen a couple of companies out there that market these things pretty aggressively. And there's pitfalls to these things, okay? They have a purpose, but for a very small percentage of people, okay? And I'm talking very small. I'll give you that use case of what it is. But are these things new? No, they're just new to the internet. They've been around for years, decades. Credit unions have been having these things for years for their young members, which is what they're intended for. Is the families of credit unions a lot of times bring their kids into the credit union and get them their first financial relationship. That's how they get started. And because they don't have anything and the kids want to buy a car or something at some point, the credit union had a service called a credit builder loan, which is basically you put in money into a deposit account against a CD. It's basically just making payments into a savings account, basically, but they structure it to look like a loan so they can report it to your credit report to help you build a score. That's great for 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are new. Mom and dad took them in there so that they can get established like that. The downside of this thing is they're term-based, like a year usually, sometimes 2 years. And in credit, everything is about, your score is all about open accounts on your credit report. Closed accounts, when you pay off a car loan, actually your score goes down because you're losing all this payment history and the credit age goes away. Your score can drop 30, 40 points. Well, the same thing with this credit builder loan is that when it's over after a year, this 1 year of positive payments, just close the book. It's gone. Okay. It gets marked as closed. So your score is going to drop at the end of it. Now, if it helps you when you're young to get to a point of, oh, I got established, I got a 650, 680 credit score so they get their first car or whatever, that's a good use case for that, Wendy. And I'm not going to knock it because of that. Because at that same point, they should have gotten their first credit card, which is going to help them with the credit card portion of the test, remember we talk about how you use a credit card. And it's very simple. Why is it no good for the majority of other people, especially people that have sort of damaged credit or they're coming back from some late payments or a couple of recent collections or something? One, because when it shows up on your credit report, it shows up as a brand new account. Okay. A brand new account is no different than opening up a new credit card or a new car loan. It's got 1 month of payment history and then 2 months and then 3. It's like having a baby. You think about it. You now have something young that you've got to raise up, right? Well, when people that already have thicker credit files with it, you go and they'll open. I see people open up 1 or 2 of these things. It actually will drop their credit age in half, because we'll talk about credit age, how that works out later. But it actually deflects what they're trying to do. And the crazy part about it is these companies online, I think they charge kind of predatory fees for these things, and that they actually charge somewhere 16 or 17% interest for you to give them your money every month. And then they put it in their savings account where they are earning interest on it, but you're paying them a 17% fee for the privilege of holding on to your money to put some green check marks on your credit report, which after a year are going to vanish anyhow.
Sounds like a bummer.
I don't know what else to say about the thing. It's just this small portion. And a couple of these companies that have done this, they raised $100 million in Silicon Valley money, and they don't tell the transparency of what the thing actually does. They put it in the fine print, they hide it. If you go read the ratings about some of these companies, it is ugly. They'll show you the good ones from the App Store or whatever, but go Google Trustpilot reviews or one of these other third-party places. Or go look at the CFPB and see how many complaints they got. Do your homework, okay? Or just listen to this episode and you just know not to go there.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of Rental Kharma On Air. Be sure to leave us a voice note for any questions, comments, or stories about this or any other topic. Send them over to Cullen at rentalkharma.com. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe the Rental Kharma channel here on YouTube. Just hit that button below, and we look forward to hearing from you next week.